Welcome, and thanks for dropping by on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That said, let's get to it. Right here. So I've done my Thai green curry paste, which I have prepared in advance. And as you can tell, there's water around it because I've defrosted it. So I typically make Thai green curry paste, any curry paste, Indian curry paste, and I just put it in the freezer. I don't typically cook it with oil. You can do that if you want to put it in the refrigerator, because oil, especially a top layer of oil, will keep the curry paste nice and sort of give it a longer shelf life in the fridge, basically, because it stops oxygen from getting into the ingredients. So you can do that, but I prefer not to cook it. I prefer just to freeze it. And you don't actually have to wait for it to defrost. You can immediately throw it into the pan frozen. So if you're running late or you forgot to defrost, you can certainly do that. So in here, the recipe's out there, but things like shallots, onion, ginger, if you don't have galangal. So galangal is what I've used in here, and it gives that really sort of peppery, ginger flavor. Typically, galangal is replaced with ginger and maybe a squeeze of lemon and a couple of other things. What makes it green is coriander, green chilies, and then also I've thrown in there Thai basil. You don't have to, but anything that's green makes it a green curry paste. So that's what I've made in advance. Again, not something that I made specifically for this dish. I just usually keep green curry paste in the fridge. You can make stir-fry noodles with it. You can do curries with it, of course. You can do grill chicken with it as well. It's very versatile because it's not cooked. It lasts about 6 months. So that's the first thing I've pre-made. The second thing that I've done in advance is velveted chicken. So velveting chicken is more of an Asian thing, and you'll see a lot of, if you ever go to an Asian like a kiosk or a noodle box or a kind of an Asian sort of takeaway joint, they'll always have their food prepped out front. It'll be sitting in the window. It's usually vegetables and meat. And that's usually meat that's been velveted. Velveting is basically two things. First thing is they basically marinate the meat. So here today, I've actually marinated it with a bit of fish sauce, bit of soy sauce for about 20 minutes, let it sit after chopping it into cubes. And then after that, I typically will put cornstarch sludge on it. So I'll mix cornstarch with a little bit of water and I will coat it and leave it for another 10 minutes. Then you have two options. You can either fry it in oil or boil it, or rather poach it. But you're talking about having it just turn opaque. So you're not like you're poaching it for maybe 10 to 15 seconds. You just want the outside layer to cook. Similar to frying, you just want the outside layer to cook. And sometimes it'll caramelize a little bit if it's really hot, because there's a little bit of sugar and cornstarch. Now, the reason you do that is because you want the inside, because it's chicken breast. Chicken breast has a tendency to get overcooked if you leave it on the fire for too long, right? And so the idea is to still be able to eat chicken breast, which is relatively healthier. It's a less fatty part of the chicken and has more fiber without overcooking it and getting that sort of tough, chewy feel. So what happens when you velvet it is it creates an outer layer that protects the inside chicken, so that when I add it to and it ends up getting like 75 to 80% cooked. So this chicken is not safe to eat yet because it's still semi-raw in the middle. It'll finish cooking inside the curry, and it won't get overcooked. And what typically, if you bite into it, you'll have like a nice layer on the outside and a really soft, moist chicken breast on the inside. So hopefully that answers the question. But I share more on that in the video where I've actually shown, demonstrated how to actually velvet chicken in the poached fashion, which is what I've done today. So those are the two things that I have prepared in advance. If there were any questions on any of that, jump in and ask them. But otherwise, I'm going to get started with cooking. So we're going to do chicken and lychee curry today, which is a variation of duck and lychee curry. So in Thailand, it's a very popular dish because duck is quite fatty, and that tends to be quite rich. And so what they do is they tend to use lychee to cut through that sort of fatty richness with a light sweetness. I'm doing it with chicken today because I like chicken, and I think that chicken and lychee, and I'm using capsicums as the vegetable today, is just, it all pairs really well. What I've done actually with the capsicum, I'll show you real quick, is I've cut it up to be roughly the same size as the chicken, and also the lychee I've cut up to be roughly the same size as the chicken and capsicum. So you're basically getting an even sort of like a spoonful of everything, and it's all evenly cut, which makes it easy for eat, especially it makes it easy to eat, especially for kids. And this is a kid-friendly curry because it is not spicy at all. The green curry paste as well, if you really want to make it kid-friendly, don't put any green chilies in it. You can put more Thai basil or coriander. And maybe Kathy won't put coriander because she doesn't like it, but anything else to make it green, essentially, instead of green chilies. So that's what we're going to do today. You can also do a vegan variation. Everything today is vegan except for a few things. Obviously, the chicken. The Thai green curry paste is completely vegan. So you can obviously, with chicken, you can swap it out for either shiitake mushrooms or tofu or more vegetables. Eggplant would go really well in this as well. And the other thing that's not vegan today is the fish sauce. So you can either use soy sauce or vegan fish sauce. They have these days as well if you want to use that. If you were doing it with mushrooms, I would put it in nice and early like you would the chicken and let the mushrooms cook, because that shiitake mushroom has a lot of flavor that'll come out as well and add to what would be fish sauce flavor. So the umami flavor essentially. But yeah, other than that, I think the only other thing actually I'll call out is I'm not using shrimp paste. Most Thai curries will use shrimp paste. I typically won't use shrimp paste because my partner is allergic to shellfish. So I actually use soybean chili paste or jam, sometimes called chili jam, which is this. So I'm going to put that in along with the Thai curry paste as I cook it. Now, if you're using shrimp paste, you want to put it at the beginning and you want to cook it because it's got a really pungent, strong smell, and you want to get that done and dusted like the fish sauce nice and early. So I'm not getting any questions, which means everything makes sense. But in case that's not true, please jump off mute and ask me questions. I will get started with cooking in the meantime. So you'll notice today that I'm not going to use any oil. I'm not going to use any salt, and I'm not going to use any sugar. And I'll say why. So I'm adding, instead of chicken stock, I'm adding two different things today. I'm adding lychee syrup. So it's a syrup that you get in the can with the flesh. So I've extracted that syrup, and that's going to be the sweetening agent today. I've also made pandan water, which is, I show you how to do that with another link that I'll share with you after this. And so pandan water basically looks like this. It's kind of a greenish color. It's already got salt in it. So that's why I'm not adding any salt. And oil today will actually be coconut milk. So many Thai curries are just cooked purely with coconut milk. And it's usually fresh coconut milk that goes in, and they wait for it to split before they actually add anything else in. So I'm going to do that today. It won't split because it's canned milk. Fresh milk's better, but I don't have that. So yeah, so we're going to get going, getting this wok nice and hot. You can start, maybe can't see it, but it's starting to steam. So I'm going to go ahead and add this in. That's coconut milk, not coconut cream. And as you can see, it's a can full. So that's about 400 ml. Cook in a wok, you can absolutely use a nice little saute pan, but with the wok, it's that nice sound, I find. So I'm going to let that come to the boil. See that it's starting to cook around the corners already. The next thing that's going to go in is the Thai curry paste. Now, that hasn't been cooked. So that needs to basically change color. We're going to need for it to go from bright green to like a dark olive green. And we'll know from color as well as smell. So you'll be able to smell that the onions, the ginger, the garlic have all been, not ginger, sorry, galangal have all been cooked before you add anything else in. Because if it's not cooked, your curry won't last long. So typically curries last for about 3 or 4 days in the fridge. If you don't cook the raw ingredients properly, it'd probably go bad in a day or two. When you're cooking paste with a lot of oil, which I don't think there is a lot of oil in this coconut milk today, but that's the other way in which you can tell. So there's 3 ways really. One is the color of it will go a bit darker. The second is the smell, like we just talked about. And the third is you'll see that if you have added a decent amount of oil to the wok or the saute pan, you'll notice that there'll be a ring of oil around it. So around that corner, that'll indicate that it's cooked. That's why it's the oil separated. Otherwise, it's still got water in it and it needs to evaporate. So hopefully that makes sense. Sky in, and it's going to just go into this gorgeous green color because it's green curry. But yes, and we're going to let that cook down, as I said, to about a sort of a dark olive green. So it's going to go from this bright green here, just kind of get cooked down a little bit. So we're going to give that a chance to do that. Take a couple of minutes, or probably 5 minutes or so, and we can have a bit of a chat in the meantime. Yes, when I first made it, I was like, oh, that actually looks like the green curry that's served in restaurants. Then I realized that it gets cooked and it goes a bit darker than normal. So yeah, but it smells amazing in here. It's really quite nice because there's all those wonderful things in there. Kaffir lime leaves, it's popping out. The coriander I mentioned, galangal, garlic, shallots, the green chilies. I added quite a bit of green chili because I like chili. So it's all sort of starting to come out and I can smell it, but it's not cooked yet. So I'm just going to let that simmer for a little while. So
Yeah.
now I am going to go in with a couple of things. Now, this is the kaffir lime leaves. I've already put kaffir lime leaves into the curry paste, but I really like having kaffir lime leaves. Now, they're very, very, very leathery leaf, which is why I'm putting them in now, not at the end. They're not like a coriander leaf that's really sort of gentle and delicate. These guys need to be cooked down a little bit. So it's going in nice and early now. And I'm going to put fish sauce in next because that's another thing that has a very pungent flavor. And the earlier you put it in, the more the pungency reduces as you cook it. So as you if you put it in earlier, you have a better chance of minimizing that smell. Some people really have an aversion to it. They hate the smell of it. It's kind of like salted fish and some of the other foods out there that people just don't like. Skip it if it's something that bothers you, because what we're looking to get from fish sauce here is umami. So if you're doing a vegetarian version or vegan version, you can always get that from dried shiitake mushrooms soaked in water. That liquid is umami, right? Soy sauce is umami. So skip the fish sauce and put soy sauce in instead. That's totally fine. The other thing you can do as well from a umami perspective is the shrimp paste. Right, so if you are actually using shrimp paste, I'm using soybean chili paste, which again, soybean has that umami flavor, but so does shrimp. So you have a few different options. Like you can go higher on one of the other things if you want to skip together on the fish sauce. But yes, so it's really about, I think, and this is why I always say recipes are a guide. Go with what you like, what you'll eat, because if you're not going to eat it, then there's really no point. So those are some options there, hopefully to help make things better. All right. Now that's, as you can see, it's kind of changed color a little bit, and I can smell now that it's cooked. Like I can smell that the garlic's all the way cooked, and I want to actually give the chicken an opportunity to absorb some of that flavor while it's still fresh, and mix that all in there before I put in the chili jam. So I'm putting the chili jam in a bit later because it really doesn't need to get cooked down very much. It's more of a flavoring agent instead of actually being something that needs to be cooked. Because chili jam is sometimes, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's sometimes used as just purely as a dipping sauce for tortillas and things like that. So it's actually ready to eat. So it doesn't need to be cooked a lot. The chicken does. So chicken gets cooked first. Away, I think that the chicken's had enough time to cook. What I'm going to do now is add two things. So I talked before about the two liquids that I'm adding. Now, if you don't have pandan water and you haven't made it, you can obviously substitute it with chicken stock or vegetable stock or whichever stock you prefer. I'm going in with pandan water because when I make pandan water, I usually make a big tub and I always have leftover. Pandan water has a very refreshing sort of a taste to it, which is why I like to use it in this curry. So it actually adds that element of summeriness, if you like. And so it's got that very unique flavor that I really haven't found in any other leaf, basically. And so as you can see, that immediately makes it quite watery. So that's all part of the plan, which is why I wanted to cook the chicken and the paste properly first before adding any liquid. Because ultimately when you cook paste, any curry paste, you want all the water to come out of it. That's why the oil separates. So you want to do that first, and then you want to add any liquid agent after that. Again, with the chicken, same thing, right? Otherwise, I'll be boiling chicken. I wanted to fry the chicken because that direct heat cooks it quicker. Jan saying, very true, the way you feel has a definite effect on your cooking. Agreed. Love to cook with some nice music on. Exactly. The only reason I can't put music on is because there might be issues with getting the YouTube recording up on the website, because YouTube will ban the recording if there's any copyright music playing in the background. But I'm with you, Jan. I always have music going, or at least a good podcast. So I'm going in with the soybean chili paste now. Again, if you were doing a shrimp paste, you would do that at the beginning. I'm putting it in now, as I said, because it's more of a flavoring agent. doesn't really need to be cooked, and it's going to make the curry go a bit darker. And that's the last thing I'm going to add before I do the capsicum. So what I'm going to do is get this to melt in, and then the rest of it is more, again, flavoring agents. So the couple of things that have not gone in yet are the lychee syrup, so that's sweet. Then I also have coconut cream, right? So that's really something you only add very much just before you switch off the fire. And similarly, tamarind. Tamarind is not something you add. So this is tamarind puree. It's not something you add while you're cooking, because the sourness kind of loses itself and it turns into bitterness. You want to add it towards the end. So let me just mix this. So you can see that's gone darker because of the soybean chili paste, which is perfect. That's what I wanted to have happen. And because it's come up to a boil now, I'm happy to go ahead and put the capsicums in. So there they go. And I picked red because I didn't want green capsicums or yellow capsicums. They wouldn't pop. So you can absolutely use any color you prefer, but this is more for appearances. And again, it doesn't take very long for the capsicum to cook. So I'm just going to turn it around a little bit. So it's really up to you. If you like crunchy capsicum and undercooked capsicum, don't cook it for long. If you like it cooked a little bit more, cook it for longer. So I've got 4 things left that need to go in, and then we're done. I'm going to go in with the lychee and the lychee juice. Lychee, so that's just all to pop in, and it's really just to stir it in because it's already cooked. And then I will bring it back to the boil one more time after adding the lychee syrup, and then it'll be the tamarind and the coconut cream, and then we are done. That was the lychee syrup, so that's the sweetness that's gone in. And this will feed not a village, but a lot of people. Like, maybe 6 people, depending on how hungry they are, maybe less, maybe more, because it's quite filling, especially after the coconut cream. So these are the 2 things left. I'm going to go in first with the tamarind and then finish off with the coconut cream. But I'm going to bring that to a boil before I do that. And then we are almost done. Okay, I am going to finish up by just, because I don't want it to come back up to a boil, I'm going in with the coconut cream, and that's just going to change the color of the curry one last time, then the tamarind as well. And then I'm going to switch off the heat and hand back to you, Kathy, because we are done. This curry is ready to go. It just needs some flatbread, or I'll be serving it up with some sticky rice, coconut sticky rice that I've made. But I'll show that to you guys in a bit. Let's get back to the flatbread. So that's my coconut pandan rice that I've neatly been able to flip over from a bowl, and it's easy to do when it's coconut rice. So this coconut rice was made with short grain rice. You can also maybe try sushi rice if you're struggling to find short grain rice, but you do not want basmati rice. You do not want long grain rice. You do not want jasmine rice. You cannot use those rice to make sticky rice. Sticky rice or glutinous rice, although it has no gluten in it. Anyway, it's sticky. It doesn't have gluten, but you want that result. In the video, I show you how to prepare it. You got to wash it a couple times to reduce the level of stickiness. Otherwise it gets too sticky and then you can't do anything with it. And then I've cooked it in pandan water, and I've added coconut cream at the end, and it's just fabulous. It's such a great rice. I've seen sticky rice done for desserts. I've seen sticky rice done for regular consumption with curries and whatnot. I've not seen it done with pandan water, and it blew my mind. So that's why I did a video for it. I'm like, I need to spread the word. It's a really great rice. Again, it's a summery rice, right? Because it's got that light flavor in there with the pandan. And we're just going to serve up today with some curry. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some curry from here. And I don't know. Wow, that's the curry. As you can see, it's gone from green to yellow. As I said, it wouldn't be completely green curry-ish anymore because of the things that I've added to it. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. It can be any color you want, I think. But yes, here we go. I'm just going to circle it around and throw some of the curry on top. Some people like a lot of curry. Some people don't like too much curry. So go for your life based on what you like to eat and what you don't. So you'll see that those kaffir lime leaves have completely cooked down. They're now edible, unlike before when they were very, very much leathery. And voila. And so and this is purely for garnishing because you can't eat this because it's not been cooked. You can just kind of maybe put one of them on top. like so, but it'll just be decorative, right? Just to kind of go, this is a Thai dish. You can certainly put some coriander around on the actual chicken. So I can just drop a few there because it just adds that aromatic flavor as we go through it. And finally, and you don't have to add all of this, although I will today just to show you guys, we've got shallots. So these are fried shallots that you can buy ready-made. You don't have to make them. And I'm just going to go, again, a little bit around with it. It gives a nice crunchy, salty flavor. And there you go. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more culinary content coming your way.